Welcome to Toffee TV, this is the final word. We're joined by Jill, one of our patrons. Fanatical patron. Sends us videos in every week. So we said we've got to get you in the studio to have a chat.
Pause.
Yeah.
Well, you can pause, but look. Some bring biscuits, Jill's bought Rice Krispie cakes. Incredible, carry on.
That's about as far as my culinary skills go, I'm afraid, boys.
Listen, it's amazing.
Most people just go the Lidl or the Aldi,
well, Joe does, yeah.
Joe does, Joe
Doesn't ever bring biscuits.
No, he does. He does, but
From
he
the
sits
shelf.
there over there going,
Yeah.
and then leaves all the packet behind, so you know.
Joe,
He won't be watching. He's in McDonald's.
He is actually. About.
Good luck, Joe.
Yeah, he is. Well in, Joe.
So yeah, 3 points.
Yes.
Best. Is this the? Would you say that was the best victory this season?
Under Silva.
90 minutes.
I think in terms of the performance, it's up there with the Burnley game, I'd say, isn't it? I mean, I think Burnley are obviously worse side, so I think that was probably a little bit of a false score ultimately. But yeah, I'd say so. I think it was the first time it seemed like the attack was clicking. You know, we were much more mobile, quick to get up the pitch, attacking in numbers, and the defence was solid as well, albeit that they didn't have very much to deal with.
Down to us. Well, I think as in 90 minutes, we've had obviously the Chelsea result was a good result and played well against Liverpool and think, but performance-wise for 90 minutes and a result, it was the best to date, I would say. Definitely. Team, like Jill said, the team just looked like they carried on from the second half against Chelsea. They looked as though they knew. They look now like they all know what they're doing now. And I mean, it took a while, but they've got that little bit of swagger about them again now, which is good. So they just need to continue.
Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it? The team, one change, and obviously only Zuma coming in for me, and it's not too much to worry about. And the team at the moment, it's weird, isn't it? Because when we started the season, I think we all had an idea of what the team was going to be, and it's obviously through the season completely changed, and which is good. That's a good thing. But now I think, at least, whether you think certain players should be in the team, they're the best we've got for that position at the moment. So I think for the 11, I think now the 11 are starting to know each other and starting to get the best out of each other, and that really helps, doesn't it?
I think the balance now
Yeah.
is really good. I think we've got the left-hand side. I think that should just be left. I don't think it needs touching. I think it's as good as what we've had since Baines and Pienaar for me. Bernard's, we'll talk about him later, but what a footballer. And Dean, who's unbelievable behind him. You know, considering he was touch and go, all of the stats I looked at and all of the independent sites and stuff, reporters and everything, he got man of the match. So, and then on the other side, we've seen the re-emergence of Seamus Coleman again, because we've actually got a lad in front of him who's willing to work hard. You know, and I think for Richarlison at the weekend, it was the best 90 minutes he's put in for quite some time for me. He worked so hard, he was up and down. The amount of times, particularly in the first half, he got back and put a tackle in on Aaron Cresswell in our corner flag. Give Seamus that confidence that he could bomb on. And I think what's happened is Coleman has been criticised, and rightly so, this season, and I think when he was dropped by Silva, it gave him that little kick up the backside, and then they had the break, and he's come back looking refreshed now, and now he's got Richarlison in front of him. That side looks good. And I just think partnership you see with Keane and Zuma and the goalkeeper now, that they all kind of know what to do. So I think then partnerships have formed, and like you say, it is good that the team that we thought at the start of the season was maybe the best side has evolved, because it means the players are learning, and it means the manager's learning who he can trust, and I suppose who he can't trust ultimately.
And there's competition for places.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, I think picking up your point about the right hand side, I think, you know, Coleman certainly wasn't at his best earlier on in the season, but I think a lot of that was down to Walcott and how he plays. I don't think it was allowing Coleman to play his natural game. So I think it's great that, you know, you've got Richarlison now, who not only is prepared to run his socks off and gives Coleman that little bit of cover and confidence, but also, you know, will drift in, will allow Coleman to go on the overlap and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that makes a huge difference. And that was one of Coleman's most effective games that I've seen for a long time.
He was brilliant. He really was. I mentioned in my aftermatch, I thought it it's the best partnership since Ross Barkley was ahead of him. Which
Yeah,
was just before he got injured, wasn't it? Really. So I mean, so there wasn't much to rival at really. But because Ross would, and Ross played well there, and Ross would come inside and allow Seamus to get up and then give him the ball, give him the out ball and stuff like that. And you've seen that on Saturday. Richarlison's so willing to just drop off and play the ball over the top, like we've seen for the second goal, or with Theo. And it's not a criticism of Theo Walcott. He's a runner. He gets the ball and runs, and it must be very hard for if you're playing along the side and to get past them or offer something, even if it's just a run to take someone out of the game.
Yeah.
So I think that really helps, and you said the manager's starting to learn as well. I think that's the most important thing. Any ideas he had, and I think we've seen the whole of January and the whole of December that the manager clearly, he just wasn't happy with certain things. And we were seeing Bernard come on in the team, we've seen Theo Walcott coming in the team and out the team, and Luckman coming out. And then, you know what? I think the manager's actually come to a point where he's gone, this is my team, and I need to stop worrying about pleasing certain people. Maybe
egos, yeah.
Maybe it's not like. It's not like a power thing, I'm saying. I don't mean it's like, I'm putting my foot down. It's just that he's gone, you know what? Now I do have the right now to say, well, actually, Adam Luckman, what have you actually done? So I'm not playing you. Theo Walcott, what do you actually offer? Don't need to worry about you. But that's not being obviously helped by the likes of Bernard getting fitter and stronger, which is a big important thing.
I think he said something on Saturday as well. He was asked a question about how it's turned around and stuff. What have you learnt? And he mentioned about Christmas in January, and he said, yeah, I've learned things that we won't do again next season, which we did at that time.
Play 13 players.
And it might be that. But again, though, that's trust, isn't it? That's trust. If you're looking at players and going, well, I trust that Walcott will run up and down for me, where I don't really trust that Luckman will do it, or whatever. And people have fitted in. You like you just mentioned, Bernard hadn't played for 6 months when he made his first start for us against Leicester. Andre Gomez, no pre-season. I know we bang on about it, but it's massive, that fitness and that core fitness. And I think the team has gone through now knowing exactly what he wanted. He was fuming after Newcastle, and he's absolutely right. I mean, I said someone was going on, after Watford, I wanted them out and all that. And you're like, well, realistically, Wolves was the dark day at home, because they beat us comfortably, didn't he? But then City, a few days later, was a decent fighting display. Okay, we lost the game, but at least we showed a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
We lost at Watford. I mean, we didn't play very well at Watford, but we lost at Watford through a corner that wasn't a corner, and that was it. And then we had the break, and since the break, we've come back with 4 clean sheets, 5.
Really well.
Yeah, and actually, I looked straight away after the match. I looked at the Watford team, and I looked at it, and when you look at it and go, Jesus, you'd think, what was the team like on that day? It was so different to what it was on Saturday. Obviously, like Tom Davies was playing, John Joe Kenny, I think Shane Tosin started up front. It was massively different. Gylfi started on the left, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was massively different to the team on Saturday. And we seen after that break that, even though we were all saying how well Tom had done and stuff, and Tom wasn't in the team, and Snydland was back into the fold, and it was almost like that break, he gave him his chance to go, well, actually, who wants to be here, or who wants to play? And that's what we seen when what we have seen. And as you just said there, apart from 25 minutes at Newcastle where we conspired to throw it all away, it's been a very good month, and a very good turnabout. So
it feels to me like a lot of it is just we're doing the basics right, which for so many times this season we weren't doing that. We weren't taking care of the ball. We weren't choosing the simple pass. We weren't, drilling
the ball away from defence.
It was just daft stuff. So it's nice to see that it feels like we've gone back to basics almost in terms of taking care of the ball and picking the right passes and things, and not trying to do anything stupid in our own area and all that kind of stuff. And it's nice. And then I think when you've got the confidence that you're not going to do something stupid, you can start to play a little bit more freely. And I think we saw evidence of that with how we were getting forward on Saturday.
Again, that's trust, isn't it? It's like almost as if they have pressed the reset button, I think, and gone, like, what do we... You're right, he brought Snydland back in, and it was, listen, let's get some points on the board let's close it down. I think the Liverpool game gave them a lot of confidence because they were able to contain one of the the most dangerous attack in the Premier League. Newcastle, we just shot ourselves in the foot for whatever reason, but we've responded brilliantly since then. We've had 2 clean sheets, 2 victories. It's the first time for a while we've won 2 games on the run. 2
because October was the last time we had.
Exactly. So now we go into Sunday against Arsenal. We can beat anyone at Goodison, and they're beatable. So, but we've got to replicate what we did at the weekend.
It almost feels like we had all the right pieces. They just weren't all in the right places, and Saturday felt a little bit more on that. But I mean, we got off to a brilliant start, didn't we? Very quick start from the start. To be honest, I looked at their team, and as soon as I seen that Philippe Anderson wasn't in the side, I was like, okay, well, but we might be all right here. Because he's the real danger man for them. He's the real.
Yeah, exactly.
And apart from that, I wasn't really worried about anyone else. I knew Arnautovic was going to be sulky Arnautovic. I had the feeling he was going to be sulky Arnautovic. And Perez up front. Thank you, Arsenal. Thank you, Arsenal, for signing him. Because he's another Sanzo. Yeah. Definitely another.
He's worse than Sanzo, to be honest.
He's another Sandro. Well. But we went at them from the start. When we were straight at them, straight on the play, and the most maddest thing is you get a corner and we score off a corner. I mean, what? What? What's all that about?
I did a double take, to be fair.
What's one of them? Is that allowed?
Is that allowed? Apparently, it's allowed.
I did hear Martinez bat his tee out though and demanded it to be disallowed.
Parasite football.
It doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
No, apparently he was looking at his through his telly like Warnock was looking at those referees.
Stood there going. It was mad, wasn't it? It was a deep ball, and Zoom had done very well, and it almost went in slow motion, hit the floor, and you're going, is there a whistle to say it's disallowed?
It bounced! It's not allowed to be a goal, it bounced!
What I liked about that was he showed the strength, do you know what I mean? Like, too many times I've seen us in those kind of situations, and we're not strong enough on the ball, we're not challenging for it properly, and it was basically like he wasn't marked. I mean, their defence was terrible.
I mean, the caveat was they were just terrible.
Yeah.
But no, I mean...
But they hadn't lost at home for this year.
No.
They hadn't lost at home. I think they've won 3, 4, 5 on the run at home or whatever. Been very strong there lately. And we just come out and swarmed all over them. We didn't give them a chance, and it unnerved them because I think they probably thought going into it, we'll turn these over, and Newcastle beat them. We beat them at Goodison. It was a very different Everton, and from the goal, we just got hold of the ball, and we almost made it 2-0 immediately from the goal. Yeah. We had them everywhere. Gomez, the strength on the ball. Him and Garner schooled Declan Rice. They absolutely schooled him. And we just dominated.
To be fair to Declan Rice, though, he was a one-man midfield.
He
literally was a one. I mean, I will be fair to the kid. Yeah. It was a one-man midfield.
But it was, what I mean is, he just didn't get near them all day.
No.
Even when he tried to go 1-for-1 with them, Gomez had let him come in, and then he'd spin him round in a circle almost.
I've got to say, I mean, not only has he got the sexiest hair going, right, but
what? It's in the flesh. It's right here. I'm sitting right here. Fuck's sake.
But no, but to be fair, it's the fact that he always seems to find space, and he has this ability of coming out of situations where he's got no right to bringing the ball, and he's got it, and he kind of lost that at one point during
because your heart's in your mouth as well.
Yeah.
Like when he's doing those pirouettes, and you're just like,
does take risk.
Like, what are you doing? But
he always finds a way to just drop a shoulder and not feel go.
He is very confident in his own ability.
He put everything together on Saturday for 90 minutes, and he's not done that. No. I think what we've seen all season is flashes of him, and when he's on it, you're like, oh my god, what a performance. And then other weeks you're like, 20 minutes later, you're like, why aren't you just passing a simple? And I think on Saturday he just put it all together. You had him in control, and you had Garner just putting fires out everywhere.
When he plays like that, Gomez, that's when, like, obviously during the season we were saying we need a big play, we need like a Decore. When he plays like that, he looks like a Decore. He looks like that kind of play. Like, he's got everything. I mean, I've seen a few West Ham fans tweeting best midfield display of one play they've seen all season.
2 West Ham fans tweeted me and said, "You're by far the best team we've played this season at all." I'm like, oh my god. okay, thanks. I mean, we're ninth, but thanks.
Take that.
But I think that was that kind of performance, wasn't it? And you go into a game, then thinking they're probably going to win because they're at home, and you sit there and this team comes out and just destroys you, which we did, and you've got him in midfield controlling dictating the play, and Ghana was everywhere. You know, they didn't get it. And what I liked about the fact that we took the lead, we then tried to ram it down, we then tried to just get the game done, and we don't do that, you know. And their keeper, who throws goals in.
No, he doesn't. Fabianski is actually one of the best goalies in the Premier League.
He always seems to be unbelievable against us.
To be fair to Fabianski, if he hadn't been unbelievable, West Ham would be in serious trouble.
He's a very good goalkeeper. But he made
and
he's a
nice. He kept them in.
He made two brilliant saves. One from Sigurdsson from close range, absolutely brilliant save. And the other one from Luca Dean before we made it.
Well, because of the midfield dominance, Gylfi Sigurdsson could play so high up.
It was almost like 4-4-2 at times.
It was like 4-2-4.
Well, I was saying to Jill, I'd looked at the with all the stuff I had, all the data I had. We started in a 4-2-3-1, but the average positions of the players on this thing was 3-2-5. That's how Everton had lined up basically, because we played.
Who was the other one in defence? Because it wasn't Coleman and it wasn't Dean. So who was the other one?
When Ghana topped it. That's where they had the position. Well, to be honest, it's more like two at the back. Yeah. But Ghana was sat in the thing. But it was a lovely little curve, and West Ham didn't know how to. They didn't know how to play against it because we were all over them. Whenever they got the ball, we were swarming on them.
I noticed a lot of the time there were two of our players every time one of theirs had the ball. The two, all over them. Yeah. And it was great. They didn't get a second, and there was only really one team in the game.
Well, it
was.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't West Ham.
No.
Because they
you'd always have that.
I think Pickford had a busier day yesterday at the Checker Trade Trophy.
Yeah, I think that's what he did. I think the thing for me was the fact that we kept going, but you'd always have that thing as a Blue where you're missing chances. You think, and then we had one moment. I can't remember if it was 1-0 or 2-0 at the time, where we give the ball away, and it was their best moment really, where they broke and you thought, oh my god, and I think Arnautovic might have slipped, and you were like, we've got to be careful here because we are that far ahead of them. One slip and it's 1-1. And it changes the game, but we didn't. We broke forward.
No. I mean, the chance, we had loads of chances, didn't we? Loads of chances. That was the most worrying thing. Dom had one where it's the keeper. To be fair, it was a poor shot.
So they're just gone across.
His little flip back to get it back,
and it was brilliant.
And then Gylfi
should have scored. Luca Dean had the curl, and one was Fabianski pushed away. We had
one that went across.
About 3 times we had them, and if someone's at the back post, we'd have had a tap in, and you're like.
But the second goal itself was brilliant, really. Seamus Coleman, lovely ball from Richarlison to his path, inch perfect, and then at the back post, it's all right saying it's a tap in, but it's not, because his legs Zabaleta into the box to get the tap in. I mean, these things don't come, easy. You've got to do the hard work, and he did, and he got his just rewards. And one shot on target, one goal.
He was brilliant on Saturday, and to be fair, he's been due his Premier League goal, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But no, I was made up for him.
But what I liked about the goal is because in the last few weeks he missed one against Liverpool where he was like a little bit too late for it. He missed one against Chelsea that he was a little bit too late for, and this one he made sure it was like he'd done extra training. Like he'd got on his little bike.
He's wearing them big boots.
Yeah, because he strikes me as someone who's still got like a Hovis round. Do you know what I mean? His bike up the cobbles. He's that size, isn't he? He's been doing extra training, and kids won't even know what a Hovis round is. I don't even know. He's been an avid. He just seems like this week you could tell he's been like that, running in training really extra hard to make sure he gets there. Yeah, he had a little extra size boot on. He'd gone to big kids boots now, and just enough to get the foot on.
The adult place.
That's the heartbreak for all parents, isn't it?
No, but he was terrorising them, wasn't he?
Oh. It's his work rate as well, though. It's the fact that he's great going that way, but the amount of work he puts in, helping Luca Dean out, he pulls things out the sky. One where he just faced Zabaleta up and just dinked it past him and left him for dead, and you're like, so many times he carried the attack forward. He's like Pienaar would do it not at pace the way he does it, but he buys you that time to get up the pitch. Yeah. He does it brilliantly, and I was delighted for him, and hopefully that's a little bit of a weight off his back now, and he can get more goals, because that's all he's missing really. If he can get 2 or 3 more before the end of the season, then it caps off a good first season for him. But it was a brilliant goal. We worked hard to get the ball back. We get it, Coleman wins it, gives it to the Richarlison, goes around the corner. It's a lovely ball back by the Richarlison, and like you say,
it was important that though, because as you just said there, at 1-0 and missing chances, there's always that sense, especially with the home team. And then, because I was sitting there thinking, we need to get this second, because these are going to realise that we're better than them. Do you know what I mean? They're going to make changes. They're going to either bring Noble on and or whatever, just to firm up the midfield. And it only takes what we see. How many times we've seen it? It takes one spawny thing, and the game's back in the opposition's hands. So pulling time to score it, and that just, I think that just, for their fans, that just destroyed them as a team. Because what was interesting was they'd actually shown their hand from the start, hadn't they? They'd gone out with their most attacking side, and what do you do then? If you're 2-0 behind, what do you do? All you can do then is either change it round like for like, or say, well, actually we're going to be more defensive, but that's going to try and make us more attacking, like Moyes used to do, and it used to somehow work. But they showed their hands, so we were in a very, very strong position as soon as we got that second goal. We controlled it, don't went for more though. That was the good thing in that first, and we could have had more. You know, we could have had the penalty on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which it looked like a pen to me. There was things that they were last gasp tackles, the balls were going across the box. You're thinking, if we need a third, because it's Everton. You're always thinking we need a third, but we did control it. We slowed it down when we needed to, and we took the sting out the game. And I think that they ended up with 3 shots. Every one of them was outside the box. So it shows you how hard work how much we'd make sure that when they had an opportunity, we shut them down. And if anything, I was a little bit disappointed at half time that it wasn't 4 or 5, because you were thinking this game could be done now, because we have been that far in the fan, and like you said, that they're going to have to change it, and they're going to come out with a little bit of fire in the belly, and because they know they've gone in at half time thinking that we could be out of this game, we should be 5-0 down, it's only 2 if we get one. I'm sure they will have been saying, look what happened with Everton the other week.
You've seen it before.
They were 2-0 up at Newcastle and they lost it. We get a goal.
The thing that I was going through my head was, well, last away game we were 2-0 up and lost. Last home game, these were 2 goals behind and won. So that was still going through my head with in the second half. And it was important that when we came out second half, that hopefully we'll get a third, which we didn't. But how we reacted, almost coming up to that 65-minute mark, where are we going to be? And early on in the second half, we started losing 50-50s, and I started to get a little bit worried, because that's all it takes in a game, isn't it? You start losing 50-50s, fans get up a little bit going, come on, we can do this, just 1 goal. And I was a little bit worried, but then about 15 minutes into the second half, or maybe 20 minutes in, we just put our foot on the ball and started breaking up the wings. And I thought Richarlison actually was brilliant for that. Even though he looked absolutely knackered, he was just getting us up the pitch. No, to be honest, I think it was a really professional display on Saturday from us. We were brilliant and West Ham were poor, but we kept the lid on it in terms of the second half, and we'll continue to be threatening. We continue to be looking for more goals, which was great. We didn't sit back, which we've done in the past, and it's ended up biting us on the backside. So no, I to be honest, I just thought to a man they all played really well on Saturday. I was saying to Baz, it's one of the few times where it's been a conundrum as to who you give the man of the match to, because there's so many who've been good, rather than kind of having to pick who was the best out of the worst kind of thing. It was a great position to be in. It was such a high benchmark. I did the player ratings, and I think the lowest was Pickford with 7, and the only reason I could give him a 7 was he hasn't done anything. He literally hasn't done anything. How can I? And then I was like, well, hang on. If I'm gonna, and then I think I give Michael Keane 7.5, because again I was like, he hasn't had to, but he hasn't had to do anything because he was so uncomfortably in charge. But then it was like, hang on, well, where do I go where do I go? Because I was like,
I thought he was superb.
But I didn't think. But
because they calmed everything down. That one in the second half, and he pulled it on his chest, and then played Dominic Calvert-Lewin through. It was just fantastic.
It was brilliant.
But it was like I was trying to find a scale though, because it's like, well, if he's 7.5. What's Garner going to be? I think I give the man of the match to Gomez actually, because I just thought he was brilliant. But everyone was like, obviously there was a couple of 9s and everyone was mostly 8s.
What was mad about Gomez was I was like, oh my god, what a performance! And yet in like 3 of the independent scores, he scored the lowest.
That's because people don't understand football.
Luca Dean got man of the match in all of them, but Gomez was like out. I mean, it was still. I think he was still high, but with everyone else he was on, I was like,
what was going on?
Where have he got that? Garner was like second man of the match, like in their scores, like the second, 8.2 or something. But Garner was amazing.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. Luca Dean, I mean, the reason why Dean gets it is because everything he does is so careful. He's so controlled. He never looks flustered.
No.
He's clever on the ball. He'll give it and get it back. And when you've got someone like that in your back four, it just makes everyone else calm down. I thought Pickford, there was one in the first half. No, it wasn't. Start of the second half. Where we'd had a little period where we were losing the ball sloppily and he got a couple of corners, and he was just to everyone, he was like, just calm down, calm down, because we're bossing this game. And we did, and we ended up, we had the chance where Gomez volleyed it and Zabaleta blocked it, and when you see the replay from behind, it's in, the keeper's knocked it. It's a great volley. We've had breakaways where Dom's had a couple of chances that he should have done better with, and the Charleston, it's the crossbar off another corner.
That was such a... I mean, I know loads of people were like, oh, dead on look. I was like, no, what's the one from behind? It's an absolute sitter. I mean, it does... I mean,
any other team would have hit
imagine that
on the shoulder and gone.
But if that had hit the bar and just gone in, it would have looked like Duncan-esque. It would have just been like...
And he deserved the goal.
Oh, he did.
But I think that the second half, after that hour mark, I mean, I don't ever think we were under...
No, we were
They kind of shot the bolts after 15 minutes of the second half. Hernandez had a couple of runs and hadn't got anywhere. Antonio he's an athlete. He's not a footballer, is he? And after that, we'd kind of looked at them and just went, right, you haven't really got.
I think they were out of ideas.
Yeah. And like you said, Jill, after that we pushed on them. It was like, well, you know what? We'll just get more because we're going to show you now how far in control we are.
I think that was the difference in this game and the Newcastle game. In the Newcastle game, when they started winning those 50-50s, we just... We retreated.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we're 2-0 up, we're just going to have to... Whereas in this game, we were like, no, we'll meet you up the pitch where it matters.
Well, he didn't try to put Jagielka on.
Well, it's that, but in the Newcastle game, everyone just sort of dropped 10 yards, whereas... On Saturday we were like, hang on, we'll stay up here because you actually haven't got anything. We're dealing. Maybe, obviously, Rondon might be more of a handful than
it's not pacey though.
No, but just a physical same of things. But we just can't, as you're saying, Joe, after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we just calmed everything down. Then we looked like, Dom Keane puts Dom in and... But let's just talk about Dom for a moment, because we've done before and you were telling me how bad he is. No, but listen, he's starting to look like the kind of striker the manager wants. He mightn't be the striker the manager ultimately wants, or the player we ultimately want, but he's starting to look like the type of player. And I think when you've got that helps everybody understand how you want to play, because once you've ticked all the boxes, then it's so much easier for people to go, oh, this is how he wants to play. And then also for players who are going to be here, or hopefully going to be here as it gets better, like hopefully Gomez and people like that, you go, he can now see, and that's only going to help Dom, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I said the other week that he's the number 9 now, if you want to call it that, till the end of the season. There's no one at the club who can do what he can do. The Charleston can play it, but it'd be different. It's a bit different with the Charleston, because I think it's more about trying to get him in behind, and he's better where he is at the minute.
Okay.
So I think the thing with Dom, what he's done differently is he's starting to make runs in behind now, which he wasn't doing. He was showing too much and then wasn't holding it up well enough for me. I think the thing what annoyed me on Saturday with him, he had a decent, he put himself about, which is better, because, and I think he's done that better. I was talking on the preview to Ped the other week, I don't think he did it well enough against Liverpool. I think Van Dijk scared him and he dropped on, left him alone. Where at the weekend he was up against 2 units and he went for it. It was like, I can battle, I'm going to have a go with you. And I think when he does that, I think he gives everybody else confidence because it unsettles people. I mean, they were two big lads that day up on the other kid, the massive, the one who come from Italy, the big lads, and he went and he knocked them about, and that's what he's doing better. I think where he's got to improve is he's got to hit the target when he's shooting, and sometimes he takes a touch that takes him away from goal when there's loads of space the other way. And 3 or 4 times we had counter-attack second half, and he just chose the wrong option. There was one we were 3v1 and he took 3 hours to get it out of his feet. And I think once he gets that bit out of his game and it's just a little bit sharper, then he will go up to that next level. But you're right, what he's done is he's given us the blueprint, if you like, of what Everton need to play the way we play.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, we know that we need a striker in the summer. We know that that's something that we're desperate for. But I think, you know, he's demonstrated now he's capable of playing in a certain way, and he's capable at the moment of making that role his own. So, you know, I'm certainly more confident in him and his ability to do a job for us for the rest of the games this season. I think. You know, he's also hopefully giving Silva a bit of a dilemma in terms of, you know, what his role is going to be next season if we are able to sign someone. So, you know, this is what I'm capable of. You know, think about how you use me next season. So I think that's good. And, you know, I like Dom. I think the problem for me is, you know, he doesn't find the back of the net enough, and sometimes he just telegraphs things. There was something particular in the second half where it was really obvious the ball he was going to play, and it was it's frustrating. And I think sometimes that's just down to experience.
He's not cultured, is he really? He's not like a cultured centre forward. But I think what he started doing the last few weeks is making those runs that allow you to give it to him, in to hold it, and then just get everyone up the pitch 10 yards, and then they can get it back and you can start again. And he started to make a lot of those runs. That one in the second half on Michael Keane, with a little bit more experience, and we've seen him do it, is when he gets that his first touch is poor because it takes him just away, which means his next touch has to take him back to where he'd already come from. But he's got to learn, I think, in that situation, that if he gets himself across the centre back, there's nothing they can do, nothing, and that's where that touch comes, and he goes down and gets a penalty, which he's done anyway for us in the past. So if he gets himself there, then he can. I think he probably thought in his head he had another one, I think, where he did something similar. He probably thinks, I'm just going to smash this top corner, and in your head, that's where it's going to go, and it hasn't. Whereas probably someone a bit more experienced would go, well, actually, just get a bit closer to the goal and do the same thing.
If he'd have took another touch and then hit it, he'd have been in the box there, and he might have been able to set himself. He almost, this is touch too hard, like you said, took him away. And then when you're trying to hit back across the ball and you're running that way, it's virtually impossible to connect properly with it. So he leathers it and it flies over, and you're like, could you have faced the defender up then? If you don't feel like, you know, could you face him up 1v1 in the box?
It was like the one that Siggy laid on for him in the second half that he put wide.
Oh yeah, side no.
You know, it's
not going to score from there, is he?
No.
But it's, for me, I just think I look at the top players. You look at someone like, you look at anyone who plays for City, and they don't have to worry about any of those little things because everything comes natural to them because they're so good. Whereas he's probably thinking about all those other things before he has to think of shooting, and that's the difference at the moment. He's not quite at that level, and
But then, I suppose, if you look where he was, say, September, to where he is now, it's night and day, isn't it? It's that and that is credit to the manager. It's credit to Duncan Ferguson. I know some people don't want to give Duncan any credit, fair enough, but quite clearly you can see that is a centre forward that's learning. It's probably credit to Cenk Tosun because he's who he's up against, and he's probably watching him because Cenk is decent at linking the play. It's just that he's movement wise and great. So it's all of that stuff, and he's taking on things all the time. And every game he plays, he's learning something. That's what I'm saying. Against Van Dijk the other week, I think he looked at him after 20 minutes and thought, I can't beat you at anything. Where really, I think in 6 months' time, when we play Liverpool again, he'll think, I'm going to have a go with you. You might be the best defender in the world. I'm going to see what I can get out of you, make it difficult. And since the Liverpool game, he's done that. He done it at Newcastle. He scored a great little header. He got in amongst them. And then Chelsea's up against Luis and Rudiger, who are alright, Luis is what he is, but Rudiger's a good centre-back. He went head-to-head with him, left a couple on them, and that's what I want to see from him. Leave it on let the centre-back go. Because that he did it at Cardiff, and that Sol Bamba came out and went, I'm glad I don't have to face him every week, because he was at me, he left a couple on me, he was winning, he was running, and you're like, there's your blueprint there, Dom. And then that's why against Liverpool, he died, he took it back, but it's only naturally he's a kid. So he's probably thinking all the hype about Van Dijk. He's gone up for a couple of headers with him, and Virgil's big, strong lad, isn't he? He's probably thought, I'm going to take myself away from him, rather than going, actually, I'm going to take myself on him and rough him up a little bit and see what he's got. And he'll do that. That'll come. But you're right, if he get another striker in the summer who he goes head-to-head with, it's only going to make him better.
Yeah, well, he can learn, can't he? You know, if this is an established striker who's really good at what he does, then it's someone who is competition, but also someone who can take him under his wing and hopefully help him come on even further. Yeah, so I think Dom played well on Saturday. I
don't think you could. No. I honestly don't think you could say he didn't really have a good game at the weekend.
I think just on Dom. I think that players trust him as well and trust that if they play a ball in a certain position, he'll get onto it. Where you can't say that about Tosin, you just can't. If they play, if you look at the way we tried to play on Saturday, especially first half, the pace we're trying to move the ball at. If Tosin's up front, I would look at players and just think they're thinking as soon as he gets that ball, it's going to all slow down. Whereas at least Dom tries to keep it moving. There was one in the first half where he had the ball on the right hand side, and he beat a couple of their players and then switched it to the left hand side and then got himself. And it's more of that where players are like, you can trust.
Oh, he nearly got in at the near post.
Yeah, you can trust him with the ball there. And I think there's more of that going on where maybe beforehand there wasn't always that sort. And then all that leads to is someone keeping the ball longer and then losing the ball. Whereas at least if Dom loses the ball, he's losing it high up the pitch and he's losing it and he might be getting a throw from it or a corner from it. That's what I think he's getting better at.
See, I want to see him going in foot races with people because he's quick. I want to see him taking it and and knocking it and going, come on then, are you quicker than me? Because we see Man City at home. There was one in the first half where it went down the line and he knocked it and he just left Otamendi.
I'd like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see as he gets better, as he's going more, getting better and going forward. I'd like to see a little bit more, just a little bit more finesse about what he does. So if he's got someone in a foot race, little trick, drop the shoulder, go inside him,
the chop,
or a little.
Just a bit of guile, isn't it?
I was watching the Old Firm yesterday, and then Rangers. I've got a lad on loan from Liverpool, massive shit house by the way, massive shit house.
Did he not get sent off for it?
No, he didn't. But I seen him a couple of times, and he knew he had the beating of someone, but he knew I'll do a little trick, and I just thought. And listen, Dom's playing centre forward for the Premier League team. I'm not saying that this kid's better, but just those little moments where you're like, you've got the beating of him. So, but just do something a little bit different so that you're practically leaving him on his arse. Because it's not always about beating someone. It's about beating someone enough so that you can just literally go past them. You can do whatever you want with this player. Yeah. That's where I think that's more. Not saying cockiness, but. We've said this about watching Mason Holgate in the Championship. He's got this thing about he's walking around going, "Who are you?" I don't necessarily not like that.
No, but I love that.
No, I know, I do. But you can do that in the Championship. Dom can't exactly do that in the Premier League. No. But it's that idea of I know I can beat you in a race, and in fact I'm gonna make you think about this. Because it's when it's just pace against pace, you can double up and you can do something. But if you can do a little trick so that. So the next time you go past them,
they don't know what you're going to do.
They're
not just like...
Well, that's mixing it up, isn't it?
Exactly.
And that's what... There's a few of our players like that. That's what Seamus doesn't do very well. Does the same thing every time. It was right Saturday when he put the ball into Bernard. It was brilliant because he took a bit of care with it. Yeah. He looked up and that's what I think with Charlison. Whereas Bernard does do that. Yeah. He'll run one time and he'll stop and go again. Or he'll chop and come back. Or he'll hold it up, put his foot on it. I think you're right. If Dom can get a little bit of unpredictability in his game as he's running through, defenders then thinking I can't touch him if he gets across me because he goes down. It's a foul or I'm off. Or if he does a trick, I'm out the game. I've got to give him a bit more space then.
But I do think as a general centre forward though, he is starting to get a bit more of do a go round the back or do a drop in, and that's leaving centre backs not knowing what to do with them. Yeah. I mean, he's good. He is good at both now. He's not amazing, but
this is a kid that has been at the club for 2 seasons out of League One. So we come for our under-23s, and 2 years later he's leading the line.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not amazing at one thing. So what he's doing is he's developing every part of his game. For me, I think we need a centre-forward in the summer. I don't think there's any question. And I don't know whether it'll be an experienced one or it's going to be someone like Dom, but who's got different profile than him, who might be more of a runner or whatever. But that's fine, because that means sometimes maybe the two of them can play together.
Yeah.
And then I want no drop-off at Everton in any position. So if we get someone in who's even better than Dom, even if he's out 1 week or he's not playing well, you know that Dom can come in and give us something different. Whereas I think if Dom's to drop out now for Cenk, as much as I like Cenk Tosun, as much as I've wanted them and willed them to do well, mainly for our views, but willed them to do well, I know that we have to play differently when he's in the team, because we have to, like Pet said, we have to slow everything. That's why he's offside so much, Tosun, because he knows that he's got to almost be right in line to have any opportunity. And that's why at the weekend when he got it was a penalty, but he was offside, he'd gone that far ahead, because he knew that I can't run in a straight line with these, because I just won't get there. And that's what I think we need for the next thing.
Yeah. I love Tosun, but it's just frustrating.
He's built for comfort, not speed. To be honest,
he's built for the Turkish league, isn't he? For like a league that's a little bit slower, and if you give him chances, he will score goals. There's no doubts about it.
Yeah.
Scored goals in 5 goals in the Champions League, because obviously at the Champions League level is a lot more patient build up, and therefore
he scored for Turkey, didn't he?
And he got 2 last week. So you know, I think you're right. I think for Dom at the moment, he's by far our number one striker, and he just needs these games now. Every game's a learning curve, and who knows? He might. We've got 6 games to go. He might end up with 4 goals in the next 6 games, and then he's into double figures for the season. And you go, he hasn't even played. Half of those games have been sub, and he's a kid learning. So if he ends up with, and even if he scores 1 or 2 more, he's still done all right. I mean, you know. You're trying to build every season.
It's something to build on, isn't it, into next season? So, and I think, you know, it comes back to what you said. You know, the manager needs to get some credit, and Duncan Ferguson, the rest of the kind of the training staff, because you can see the positive effect that it's actually having now, and Dom is the perfect example of that.
Well, he's the one. If you look through our squad, he's the one player where you could go, I don't think any players improved as much as him over the last
I'm still
6
waiting
months.
for him to go on loan to the Championship. Wasn't that the shout all the time?
Well, there was the shout when people were thinking we were getting another 2 strikers in, and what you do with it, isn't it? That's the thing.
But that proves though that you can work hard in training and work hard on the pitch, whether you get 10-15 minutes, and it'll start to take effect if the manager thinks, well, actually this is the thing that suits the way we play. And I think that's, you know, and again we say it all the time, it's this thing, and we used to say it all the time about Tom Davies and other young players. You've only got what you've got, haven't you? You've only got the squad of players you've got. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not a Aguero or a Firmino or any of those, but he's not, but we don't have those players, so you can only, you know, when people used to go on about Tom Davies being rubbish, and it's like, well, hang on, who's his competition? You know what I mean? And when Gomez come in, it was like, well, there's his competition, and Gomez is clearly better, so Gomez plays the games.
But just to clarify, Tom Davies is anything but rubbish, as he proved when he come on.
No, but the point being is, it's that idea of like, slagging players off, but once you've got a squad, once your squad, you've only got, once that window shuts, we're going to see, you've only got one opportunity then to get. You know, we didn't go into January. You can only make players better than you've got, which is through coaching. I think Dom is clearly getting coached well, and that's what everyone should realise when, you know, the season. Like, sometimes it doesn't feel long when it's like, I mean, we're in April now, for God's sake. It's season's only got, you know, a month and a bit to go, but actually over the course of the season, it's like that. And you forget, and
it felt bloody long in February.
Well, that's it. Like February, we're all going, I can't wait for the season, and we're all sitting here going, 6 more games, it's going to be we can win that, and that's a season for you, and it's we all forget that every year. It's like this.
Yeah, because we're so beaten down by it. That's why. Well, I mean, just on Davis. No, he came on. the manager made a change, and it was like, oh, okay, Tom's coming on. He put him on.
Hang on. But there was no Snyder on the bench.
No.
So straight away, again, you're like, well, hang on, Snyder's played all right recently. A couple of weeks ago, we were like, why isn't he in the team?
Well, he come on against Chelsea.
Yeah. And now
he's not.
He's sitting at home watching Strasbourg win the cup.
He was. Because the manager, again, like we say, and we've said it quite a few times, it's that us as fans focus on the Saturday for 90 minutes, don't we? And yet he's focusing on the 5 days, and it'll bring me on to another point in a minute. But I thought Davis showed brilliant maturity at the weekend, just to take the game away from them, just to make sure that, because Gylfi was looking a little bit leggy towards the last 10.
He very much looked like, Tom Davis very much looked like the English Declan Rice.
What Declan Rice is supposed to be, yeah. And he came on.
No, just the English Declan Rice.
He came on. Yeah, not the Shark, not the Irish Shark. He came on, got his foot on the ball, took the ball both ways, passed it, got it back. And that's what we need, isn't it? That kind of youthfulness, but to keep the ball.
I think the thing is, it makes me question when you see kind of Davis and Calvert-Lewin. It raised a question mark for me about players like Lookman. And the attitude that maybe he's displaying in training and things like that, because if you can see that that clearly Calvert-Lewin is obviously training hard, he's playing well when he's getting his chances on the pitch at the weekend, and that's why he keeps getting selected in the starting 11. The fact that Lookman hasn't even been getting on the pitch at all, even as sub recently, I think to me it kind of raises a question as to either is the manager disillusioned with his attitude and how hard he's training, or is it also the way that he's actually played when he's been given some of the opportunities. I think that he's had some games where he's been done really well, and then others where he's not had the impact I think that you would have hoped.
I do worry that this whole England thing, these young players and this Germany being like the big white hope, is so easy now. It's almost like, I'll go to Germany. For all these young players in England, it just seems to be like the clubs are having to tread on eggshells almost. We've seen it at Chelsea. We talked about it last week. It's almost like this idea of what's his name? Hudson-Odoi. It's almost like he would have gone back to Chelsea like, see, told you. And his manager's like, yeah, but they don't see you in training when you're shite. I'm not saying he is, but when it's the same with Lookman, he's almost got this thing of like, why go to Germany? They still want me. I think the manager's actually been very good. They've clearly been very good on this season, and just gone, no, you're staying here. And he's called them out a couple of times as well. Going, he's not injured. And, and maybe other managers might have done that and gone, no, he's got an injury, and that's why he's in the squad. He's gone, no, he's not. I see them in training every day, and I'm picking the best squad, and he's just not in it.
Well, it's just that again, Jill basically was thinking along the same lines as me when we were talking about Dom and Davis with Lookman, because I'd seen people at the weekend saying it amazes me that Lookman doesn't play, and I'm like, I'm amazed that that's your viewpoint. You're amazed that he doesn't play. What's he done to warrant a start? Then they come back with, well, what's Walcott done? And you're like, no, you're missing the point. Walcott, I am sure, is amazing in training. I'm sure he runs up and down. He does well what the manager wants. Walcott. He sticks to his position. He's a good trainer, and therefore that's why the manager plays him. However, he's not playing now, is he? No. The player now is Richarlison. Lookman isn't better than Richarlison. Yeah, he ain't better than Bernard. So where does he play? Don't get me wrong, the lad has got loads of talent. The lad has got dribbling ability, which is incredible. But to get in Everton's team at the minute, he'd have to play either wing. He's not better than Bernard, and he doesn't give you what Bernard gives you. He doesn't work as hard as Richarlison, and he doesn't stay on the wing anyway. No. So for me, the only real place he can play at the minute is Sigurdsson, and yet he's not better than Gylfi. No. So he's got to do is, again, we said this in September, October, establish yourself as when the manager's on that bench and he goes, I need something here. You're the man he calls. Yeah. You're the man. He brought him on up at Newcastle the other week at 2-2. I don't think he touched the ball. No,
he made no difference.
And they won the game. Now, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't like he went in goal. But what I mean is, that's your moment to shine. So if you're not in the game, you have to run up and down. Dom comes on he mightn't touch, but he'll run up and down for you. Davis come on Saturday, got on the ball, passed it, got it back, done a couple of pirouettes, got it back, put a tackle in. Other players, Walcott will come on and run it. Listen, Theo is what he is, but he'll come on and run around. Tosin come on and run
the
around.
difference as well, I mean, Walcott, whatever your feelings about him, he is an established
Yeah.
Premier League player.
Goals,
so,
Champions League medal, Champions League goals, not medal.
So the point is,
He's done it, hasn't
he's
he?
done it exactly, whereas Lookman hasn't done anything. He's still, a young lad in the game.
Known, isn't he?
Exactly. And you do get the impression that maybe there's a bit of an arrogance there in terms of, he thinks he deserves a place regardless because he's got all the potential and the skill, and he does. But there's so many times where he
flatters to the scene.
Yeah.
It's all about influence. It's all about having It's why when people, some people, look at football and they see certain players, and I remember years ago having a discussion with a couple of young lads who used to play in a football team, and we used to talk about players like Carsley and Neville, and then we talk about other players, classier players, and they didn't understand why people like Carsley and Neville got into the Everton team all the time. It was like, well, it's because they have an actual influence on the game. They go out there and they do things, whether you like it or not, to change a game of football. To actually it's not all about having amazing footballers. We all want it to be about amazing footballers. But then when you look at Man City, you say, well, who's the best player? It's Fernandinho.
Yeah.
Liverpool, what's his name? Fabinho come on against Spurs and change the game, gets them the grip back on the game. And sometimes it's about actually going out there and doing something that actually counts. It's great to have all the flicks and the tricks, but we've said it loads of times in this. Bernard chasing back and getting the ball, Richarlison coming back, doubling up, making it hard, making it tough, putting the hard runs in. That actually, the bits that you don't see on the packages on Match of the Day, the bits that you don't, you see the goal, it looks great, but you don't see when they went back and won the ball back, that helped start that move. These are the things that when you're at the game you see, and this is the difference I think sometimes in some players. It's great when you've got your YouTube packages, but if a player,
the Match of the Day players,
if these players don't work hard enough off the ball, or don't work hard enough in training, and I know you said about last week, and I think it was Michael Ball tweeted you and said, well, some people are just not good trainers. That's fine, of course, we've all seen that over the years. Some people didn't even train. But if they don't do it on a Saturday, what's the difference anyway? No. Tell me when Lookman this season has come onto the pitch and actually made a positive change to change a game of football. He probably might have done it three times most, and I can't even think about what they are off the top of my head. But that's the difference.
Got a good ball in for Dom against Palace for the second goal, or the first goal, whatever, the first goal on it. And that really is probably the only thing he's done. And that's not having a go at him, by the way. I'm not having a go at him. Because I don't know we all want him to do well.
I don't know his circumstances. I want him to do well. I've wanted him to do well all season. But that's always the thing. That's always the outshout is, well, so and so's there, give him a go. And it's no, you're not seeing the big picture when people do that. It's too easy. It's the I don't tell shout, isn't it? Yeah. It's like players. It's the Kevin Morales shout. Yeah. Players get better when you're not playing. That's the problem. But
I think, see, for me, and that's right, it's exactly right what you said. But if Walcott was in every week still and was terrible every week, then I wouldn't argue with anyone. I'd be going, yeah, you're right. And I think there is times that he probably should have played. But I think at the minute, the likes of Richarlison, but I don't see how he's not better than them two. No. He's not. I'm sorry, he's not. He might be able to beat 6 men like Richarlison can't.
But then ball will be crap.
But also,
he's got no position.
It's called circumstances as well. If Everton had been 4-0 up with an hour on Saturday, he comes on, doesn't he? And that's not his fault. The players on the pitch should have put the game. Really, the only disappointing part about this game is that we didn't win it 4-0, and everyone goes, "What a performance!" Rather than Everton went, beat West Ham. West Ham were poor. Blah blah.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair, what I've heard most about the game since Saturday was about how bad West Ham were, and about the stadium, and the fans, and how the stadium was against the club, and all of this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I watched BT, and to be fair, there was a couple of moments he said that, but I think it might have been Jake Humphrey actually. He kept on trying to change the narrative back to, actually Everton played alright there, didn't he? And Glenn Alder was like, well yeah, because I think there was a little bit like afterwards, we need to say how bad West Ham were, and then they were like, no, can we not just talk about how good Everton were? And to be fair, they did.
Well, Humphrey said it was 2-0 and it could have been, it should have been 10.
So,
he said, let's be honest.
You know, so he would have come on, and then, so I suppose it's out of Lookman's hands. Well, it's not, because if he played well at better in training, he might have a better chance of playing. But if Everton are in more of these positions, then maybe Lookman can come on.
Someone also said to me when I had that conversation, because it was earlier in the week, because Michael, and then when I went back to ball, he was, well, how do you play then? If you're not playing, if you're not training,
very, very good.
If you're not training well and you're not making any contribution, then and you are in training, how can I justify as a manager playing Lookman who's not really doing it? Well, you are. And he's never done enough for me. But other people were like, the other thing to remember is he doesn't even start for England under 21s now. He's just sub and stuff, because and where he had that place locked down last year, obviously because he was playing well and scoring. So it's all in the.
But then he'd say that probably the other people in the under 21s are playing now because we've seen more younger players playing. Yeah. So therefore he has to go somewhere where he can play.
I think if you're there with Lookman, you'd just be saying, listen, treat every day in training like a German Bundesliga game, if you love that, or a Premier League game, because that's how you're going to force your way back into this, into the manager's thinking. He was out the squad the other week, he's back in Saturday. You're right, if Richarlison's header goes in, Lookman comes on, I think, because it's been 3-0 with 5-6 minutes left, either being on. Not his fault, but the only way he gets in this team is by knuckling down.
Agreed, yeah.
But on the flip side of that, you could say, well, it is sort of his fault, because if he'd helped us win at Newcastle, we wouldn't have been so conservative at 2-0 on Saturday. No,
but you can't just say that that's related to the Newcastle result, is it? Because let's be honest, all season we've been throwing.
No, but there was that though. That would be running through the manager's mind, isn't it? I am getting sacked if I lose a 2-0 lead here. There's no coming back from that. Like, no matter how well you're doing in the league, you know what I mean? No, like that was what I mean is, like, Saturday was a proper mental thing for all of us, wasn't it? It was like, can we? Because for me, it's all about learning the lessons. It's all about, if you do something wrong, can you put it right? And Saturday, I think we put the Newcastle defeat right in a way, because what you've done there is you've gone and you've gone, we're 2-0 up. We're playing pretty much the same. I mean, we played better on Saturday than we played at Newcastle, but it's about cutting all those little mistakes out. So you look at straight away, you're looking at Pickford, and you're like, what is he? Where is he? What's his mind on it? 2-0 up, is he just? Does he look like he's on it? And he looked like he was on it.
Yeah.
You look at all the players.
Same with the Chelsea game on it.
Yeah. You look at the manager. You look at his subs. So what does he do? Well, he brings Tom Davies on. So straight away, I'm like, yeah, your head's on this game. We're winning 2-0, and you've gone, you know what? I'll take a midfielder off, and I'll put a slightly more defensive, but someone I know won't just go back. And that's what's great about Tom, like we mentioned, is like he went on, he was straight away, keep the ball,
press from the front,
win fouls, press from the front, and it bringing someone like Lookman on, you might be like, people might go, oh, if we concede one now. So he just kept, he knew we had the beating of them, and he probably like, listen, it doesn't matter if we're 4-0, 5-0. If we win 2-0, I'm happy with that. So,
well, if had the test was Newcastle, we blew it. But then against Chelsea, it was slightly different because we scored the 2 goals in the second half. So it was, even though with half an hour to play, we were 2-0 up, like we were, or 25 minutes with 2-0 up, like we were at Newcastle. We saw that out. Yeah. Saturday was very much like Newcastle. We were 2-0 up. It should have been more. Yeah. And it was the psychological thing, and we got through it without conceding. Okay, you could say how bad West Ham were, but I think you could say that with every team who anyone plays against. When City win 5-0, is it because City are amazing, or is it because the opposition have been poor?
Yeah.
So they will never spin it that way. It'll be City. If that was Liverpool or City on Saturday at West Ham, they would have gone, West Ham weren't great today, but these teams were just amazing. They blew them away. And that's what Everton did. Everton blew them away. Forget about West Ham. They had lads out there wanting to win the game. They hadn't lost since December at home. We went there, we beat them 2-0. It should have been 6 or 7. We schooled them. And that's the way it is. Now, as far as I'm concerned, since we had that 17-day break, the Newcastle game happened and we can't get away from that. 4 clean sheets out of 5. Yeah. We've looked like a team since they come back. It looks as though that break, without having the internationals, where they're all going off, was good enough for him to go, this is what we do. look what we're not doing, this is what we do right. And ever since then, it's been a thoughtful process. Every sub has been, again, bar Newcastle, in general, and certainly the last 2 games, the subs have been right.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen, you said it before, Jill, everyone now just seems to be doing the basics. Let's just, if this ball's bouncing, just kick it right down that pitch, get our shape again, and we'll start again. We're giving free kicks away where we should be.
Yeah.
And they're half dragging them down, alright, let's get our shape, get back.
Yeah.
And we're doing things correctly. And if we do things correctly, more often than not, the quality that we undoubtedly have in our side will beat the majority of teams, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, you know, I just want to see us carry this on now. You know, I want the same kind of intensity. I want the same kind of level of concentration and professionalism and all the rest of it, carrying it on to the next game against Arsenal and beyond. Because you know, there are the vast majority of the games that we've got, certainly the away games, you would argue we should be winning. Touch wood. But we should be winning because they're against teams who are nowhere near as good as us on paper.
We've got at least 3 more victories in us this season. Yeah. Easily 3 more victories out of the 6.
And then for me, even, you know, Arsenal aren't great shakes. Man U are better, far better under Solskjaer. But you know, I think a Goodison, you never know. You know,
listen, if teams beat us because they're better than us, then they beat us. But what I think what we've seen on Saturday and what we've seen the week before, a couple of weeks before against Chelsea, is us not making individual mistakes, not, you know, keeping the ball, taking care of it, being a little bit more selective. Set pieces, I mean, we've seen it on Saturday. We score from the first set piece, then every set piece we're putting it into a dangerous area and saying to our players, because this is something we haven't been doing for years. It's almost that flat low ball. It's been going on for years. Whereas on Saturday it was like, just throw a ball in the box, and we've got players who, you know, Zuma gets the first one, and every ball that went into the box from then on was causing havoc. So that
terrified.
If we didn't win the first one, it never went anywhere. It stayed around. You know, we've seen the chance. You know, Gomez nearly smacks one. It keeps the ball alive.
The bar.
You know, we all, and it was little moments like that that were just that. You know, we've caught, as I say, in the last 2 games, apart from maybe the first 20 minutes against Chelsea, but we've caught all those little mistakes out. We're playing the way he wants us to play. That's clear. We're okay, at times you look at us and it's like, you go, oh, you know, if that had gone the other way, but it didn't on Saturday.
That's football.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't. It didn't. And he always said you play to win, and that means you're on that fine line. But that's what all the top teams do. They play on that fine line because you can't. And this is why, like, look someone like Spurs. They've drawn one game all season. Should be 4-2. And
they should have won.
But that's because they play, whether you like it or not. Or I bet you some Spurs fans don't like it because they'll be like, if we just done that and done that. But they forget that they're where they are, like in the top 4 at the moment. Whether that lasts, they're where they are because they win a lot of games because they're willing to risk. I mean, Spurs must have lost more games than anyone in the top 6. They must have. Without actually looking.
9, haven't they?
So they must have, but it's because they're willing to go and try and win those games. Like you said, they should have beat Liverpool, but they've ended up getting beat by Liverpool. But that's because they do, and that's I think that's what Silva's looking.
What I was looking at yesterday was
on your hand.
On my hand, I've got it all written there. Now, what I was looking at yesterday was things like goals. Like we've only conceded 1 more than Man United. Right? Yeah, we've got them, and outside the top 6, we've scored the most. And we've also scored the most outside the top 6. So if you're looking at that, you know, I think it's 3. We've conceded 3 more than Arsenal, 1 more than United. Okay, both of those teams have scored a lot more goals than us, but they're positive, surely, in a season where you're looking. I think someone put a comparison thing up this morning on Twitter.
Was it a meerkat?
No, okay. But it could have been. But I forgot who it was, so I apologise if you're watching. But it was games played points wise were the same as what we were last season. But goals scored, games won, shots. You put the thing up. We are miles ahead on everything. I know the points will ultimately be what is important. But things like shots, attempts at goal, we're 5th. Where last year we were 20th, and things like everything. All it does is it underlines the improvements that we've made.
The progress.
But I haven't heard that man's voice for ages either.
Fathead?
I haven't heard him.
No, he's gone a bit quiet, hasn't he?
for ages.
gone a bit
I don't know
quiet.
whether it was because he got dicked on The Apprentice. I don't know,
Maybe,
but I just
but-
haven't heard his voice for ages.
So that's
and
beautiful.
that it's
That is
as Simon and Garfunkel said, it's the sound of silence.
No, but I think you're right. I think what it shows, it demonstrates, you know, the progress that's been made so far. And okay, you know, I'm sure we all would have liked to have been, you know, in the top 6 somewhere challenging, but you know, the fact
hell's that noise?
Sorry, that's my phone.
Bloody hell, Jill!
No,
Professionalism!
sorry,
I mean,
sorry,
you didn't even have to get up, you could have just left
Could have
it!
left
Hello,
it.
sorry.
Oh
Apparently,
my god, it's good job we're not live, isn't it?
Sorry.
Oh, Sam Allardyce phoning Jill, who knows?
Oh no, sorry.
Such an ice cream man, Sam! Yes, right, give me here. Round here, so...
No, but I think the point for me is it's about the fact that you can see the level of progression. You can see the fact that we're you know, improving from where we were. And okay, it hasn't ended up being quite what we wanted it to be, but it's much better than where we've come from.
I think the main thing is that I think we're starting to see that you know, with Allardyce, and this is why we sacked him, is that we probably would have took more points in some of these games this season, and we'd be comfortable. We'd be 8, probably around where we are. But it's that feeling that you're never going to get higher. Whereas Silver, with you know, if things drop in the right way, you can definitely see it moving on. It obviously things have got to go the right way. That's the only thing. If they've got to go the right way.
Better who would you have backed to get better players? Allardyce or Silver? It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer.
Especially after seeing on The Apprentice.
Well, there you go. And that's what we can work towards. Yeah, there's still question marks over him, but like I said many a time, there's question marks over all the managers, and I don't see another one who I would go, I'd rather have him, he'll be boss, because it's all a flip of a coin.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about the very top level managers, and even a flip of a coin for them, because some of them wouldn't come here if they couldn't spend 300 grand a week on a player. So
yeah, but it's also, you know, it's not just about Silver in isolation, is it? It's also brands and that partnership. So for me, you know, brands wouldn't have worked with Allardyce.
No.
Yeah, you know, for me, it's about them two being able to work with each other and identifying the right kind of targets, bringing them in and to strengthen the squad, and ultimately then, you know, the coaching and the training paying off, and us continuing to progress, hopefully.
Confidence wins, and ultimately brands will decide, won't he, whether Silver's the man, but he fully backs him and is happy with him. So we just keep this going. Now, if we can keep the momentum going, if we can replicate what we've seen over the last few weeks, then you're right, we've got at least 3 wins in us. Before Saturday, I looked at the taking the Spurs game out of it, although wouldn't now after watching with that goalie they've got in. But looking at the away games, I looked and thought West Ham was the hardest out the 3. I know Palace, if they turn up, they've got great attacking players, but to me, West Ham looked the trickiest out the 3. It never turns out that way, but we've won that one, so why can't we get at least 3 more wins? And if we get 3 more wins, it's 52 points. I think we'd have all, you know, you were panicking about us getting to 40 at one stage, so 52 points from this season, it'd be more than last season. It could be enough for 7th, you never know, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Win games of football, keep us
Dead
happy.
easy. There you go.
Did he smile though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Celebrated
Sam,
both goals.
I'm in
And
I'm in
he
for
went
life.
down to the Evertonians,
Tattooed.
clapped them,
Yeah.
give it all that.
Needs to get a song for him then.
He needs a song now.
Needs a song now, doesn't he?
You don't. I know what it is. You're like, if we give him a song, you might break our heart. Give him a song. Go on. Don't know what it is, but give him a song.
Some clever people.
Yeah, people who are clever and
Just
like
make a song.
great
There you
songs.
go. Big thanks to Jill.
Thanks for having
No
me.
thanks to the person who
Yeah,
messaged
sorry.
there.
Oh, he's phoning it.
Very popular.
There you
In
go.
demand. In demand probably for BBC or something.
Come on then.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you later.